Hi everyone, I'm Tony and I'm here with my teammates Nick, Adam, Jimmy, and Jada. Today our topic is about developments in security standards in the IoT industry. So here's the content of our podcast. First, I'll do an introduction to this topic, and then Jada will explain the key security concepts about IoT security. Then Jimmy will give us examples of the real-world application and some security issues. Then Nick will talk about recent developments and trends, mainly involves the regulations and stuff. Then Adam will give some recommendations and suggestions about future. So here, there has been a lot of concerning news about IoT security. So here's a guy who accidentally hacked into his vacuum cleaner's camera, and he can use the same method to control like over 7,000 vacuum of the same brand. Then there's another news about a company converting all the IoT devices into a botnet and doing DDoS attack on a DNS server. Then this is a self-driving vehicle that goes haywire and lose control and keep driving in a circle in the parking lot. Although this news is not really about being hacked, it's literally a glitch in the system update. But imagine, and there's no absolute secure system in this world. So imagine someone actually hacked into a self-driving car in the future and actually took control. That's very concerning. So here's some data about the IoT and OT security breaches. So a 2024 survey found that OT, IoT, and other specialized systems comprise 42% of enterprise assets. However, they account for 64% of mid to high-level enterprise risks. So we can see that IoT devices are still pretty vulnerable. So that's why we need to pay more attention on it and try to fix it. Now I'm gonna hand the conversation over to Jada and let her talk about the security concepts.
Yeah, so the basics for security concepts for the IoT and the development of standards, like obviously as Tony was kind of seeing there's a lot of attacks that happen to IoT devices and a lot consistently, and there's a wide variety of uh insecurities relating to different IoT devices, like obviously like lack of encryption because of like less resources depending on the device, plain text transfer, things like that. And there are some general concepts that obviously like float around when IoT security is being discussed, like as a sort of theoretical core standard or like concepts to integrate into security, like obviously like encryption, like network security, things like that. But they all differ in researching for this. Like there are multiple sites that say different things and they don't, and some of them overlap, but they mostly don't like always overlap. There's always a few that are outliers for what people think are like important for security concepts to be considered. And then for standards, I think over the years, like in general, like the amount of standards has been improved, but because um I like IoT networks and devices, like the amount of them can be so complex and things like that, that yeah, like because like I said, ideas about security are generally hard for everybody to decide on what's important, is one of the major reasons why official standards for IoT security have taken a long time to develop. Um, and also it depends on where you are in the world, like if a nation even has uh security standards made or not. For instance, like I think there's one in Canada and there's like at least a couple in the United States, but it's not universal. So I'll hand it off to Jimmy next.
The first application I want to talk about is ETS-IEN 303645, the Consumer IoT Security Standard, which is a foundation in 2020 in Europe. The most key point for it is no default password. It against the Mirat botnet in 2016, which is the malware automatically search for the IoT device with the weak password and infect them. Those component devices such as IP cameras and router and use them for the DDoS. Next. And the second one I want to talk about is NIST LOT security framework, which is founded in 2020 in United States. The one of the key point for it is it focus on the authentication and asset control, which is against the Amazon Rings attack in 2019. One of the most famous case is in 2019, one of the Amazon Rings camera has been hacked, and the hacker used the camera to talk with the key and play some horrible music.
All right, so next up is my part. We talking about a discussion of developments and recent trends in security standards. So the first thing I want to ask is why IoT security standards keep evolving. The reason why is, as you can see, billions of devices are connected worldwide. And also many early devices are lack of security, so we need to keep evolving it. And also there's many attacks like Jimmy just says, like botnets and also through ring bell door camera. And it's also about the government concerns, right? So it's a security for the whole country. All right, so the first development I want to talk about is the ETSI EN 303645 that Jimmy's just talked about. But we're focusing in it because it's a consumer IoT standard, right? It's recently just released here in June 2020. And it is for the Europe, it's a Europe security standard. It's focusing no default passwords, secure software updates, and vulnerability disclosure policy and secure the data storage. All right, the second one I want to talk about is the NISTIR 8259. So this one is also published in 2020 by the National Institute of Standards and Technology. So this is to set the baseline of cybersecurity through focus on device ID, secure config, monitoring, and lifecycle security. So this is just used as a guidance for manufacturers. It's not really mandatory. All right. The next one is I want to talk about a trend. It's called zero trust. So this one is used across like cloud, enterprise, and environments. So the principle of this is never trust and always verify. So every companies and organizations, they apply this zero trust because the IoT devices, even though like maybe it's good quality, however, it can never be trusted and is very vulnerable. All right, we'll pass to Adam.
So I'll be doing the recommendations and suggestions. So we've seen that a lot of the problems that currently face IoT security, like IoT devices having weak passwords that just you can publicly find online, IoT devices receiving no updates or receiving them insecurely. There are not being universal force security standards and just so many devices with weak security. So for what solutions there are to this is to enforce default passwords that are unique and not able to just find online. So there's not as many botnets, as well as just getting security certifications for IoT devices and implementing secure updates for them. And the way to do this is through government regulations, is if they enforced all manufacturers to follow things like NIST and ETSI, as well as developing other security frameworks, it would make sure that we don't have these problems. And another solution for this is getting better tools to deal with this. So AI is like a very big thing. So using it for threat detection and dealing with the problems going on in IoT security can be very helpful. So implementing AI for security could be like automatically blocking suspicious activity and identifying alerting attacks on your IoT devices, as well as monitoring networks for any suspicious things going on, analyzing IoT devices and networks of IoT devices just to make sure that are safe, and determining if the devices have been compromised. So, I mean, this is can all be easily done if we just change the way we go about this. And overall, these solutions can greatly improve IoT security. So just making sure that the security standards are more enforced and implementing better tools like AI. So I think that brings us to the end of our podcast, and we just want to say thank you for watching and listening. Goodbye.